present on the psychology of Gaddafi, his family dynamics, and the Green Book.
All right, so I will try to be very brief in presenting this fact because we've heard a lot about Gaddafi in that eloquent presentation. Now, I will talk about the book itself a little bit. But first, before talking about the book, it's important to understand sort of the psychology of the President Gaddafi. He's not a president, the king of African kings. Actually, that's his most recent title. Gaddafi thought he would be able to fill the shoes of his role model, Gamal Abdel Nasser. But Gaddafi lacked the charisma and also the eloquence of Abdel Nasser. So, and Libya was relatively smaller and more marginal than Egypt with its demographic weight. So Gaddafi was not going to be, and he pretty soon realized that he's not going to be the great Arab leader that he thought he would be. But Gaddafi thought that he could be actually a great international scholar. So he thought he can bring a theory that everyone would sort of buy or believe in, and that was his Green Book, which he labeled as the third theory, which is this theory that basically refutes, summarizes, and replaces capitalism and Marxist ideas and communism. Now, so this book has a sort of an end of history aura to it. So he thought this is the conclusion of a human thought and ideas and ideals, and he thought that this should rule. The most important aspect of this book is that people do not need rulers, they should rule themselves. In practical terms, that meant that they should choose Gaddafi to be their big brother, obviously, because there are no other sort of practical ways of implementing that. I mean, he created the revolutionary committees and so on and so forth, but he maintained pretty much authority in his hand and a few of his close associates. Now, the most important aspect of the book is that Gaddafi himself never really thought that he's addressed by the book. He didn't feel that he need to abide by what is in the book that he wrote or plagiarized from others. Now, one of the things that's in this book that he talks about is that people should be free and should express themselves freely. This is in one of the sections, especially his section on the press and freedom of press. But Gaddafi nonetheless repressed everyone in the country throughout. But one injection of that, one aspect of that, Gaddafi seemed to have believed in and seemed to have been practicing most recently. This one says that every person is free, and even an insane person is free to express his insanity. And I believe that's what Gaddafi is doing right now. That's actually a line in his book. Now I move quickly to the family because, I mean, people have talked about the book itself and his psychology. So now Gaddafi family is big, it's relatively big. He has 7 sons and 1 daughter. And not all of them are actually that prominent or that important to the governance in Libya. But they all have more than their fair share of the Libyan oil revenue, obviously. I'll talk about Mu'tasim. This is his security advisor. And he pretty much is not in good terms with the other prominent son, which is Saif al-Islam. But Gaddafi relies on Mu'tasim for the most important aspects of his security arrangements. Now, his other important son is Khamis, and Khamis, unlike other sons, is pretty much a very disciplined person, and he's a military man. He's a soldier in almost every respect. He's not prone to appear in front of the media, and he has not traveled a lot outside except for important business deals or for his training in Russia, and he leads the 32nd unit of the Egyptian army, and he's probably the person now that Gaddafi rely on in terms of repressing the revolt in Zawiya and other areas of Libya as well. Now, we would speak about Saif al-Islam. Saif al-Islam gained prominence because of his supposedly reformist views and his moderation vis-a-vis the West. And he's a person that became known for his for the charity organization that he did run for and continued to run actually, which mostly contributed to the release of prisoners, mostly Western prisoners, in exchange for money for those who hijacked them. Now, but despite that facade that people see in the West about Saif al-Islam's moderation and sort of the call for reform that he makes, the Libyans have known him to be rather an ignorant and arrogant and very much reckless person. He's known for his lavish parties and all of that. Now, Aisha, the only daughter of Gaddafi, is, you know, the wise person in the family. You know, she's the person who intercede whenever there is a problem between the different members of the family and try to sort of keep peace. And she's been important in that regard, and she's been very close to Gaddafi most of his life until very recently. In fact, when Saif al-Islam seemed to have overtaken not only Mu'tasim, who's his own security advisor, but also Aisha as the man of the house. Hannibal, it's very difficult to pronounce his name. So he's very sort of notorious for his running with the law in Europe and other places. He's pretty much a party boy, and Gaddafi doesn't like him. And whenever he's in trouble, he would always go to Aisha. Obviously, he always can count on her intercession for his. Now, the last person I will talk about is his other son, Saidi. Saidi is a very important person. He's a substance abuser who turned Salafist very recently. And it seems that that's actually may not be a conviction on his part, but rather a ploy by his father. His father has realized that the Libyan population, especially the youth, have grown, sort of the level of religiosity have increased in the last 10 years in Libya, and has been trying to divert that sort of kind of attitude to what some scholars have termed as the Salafi monarchist views instead of the Salafi anarchist, which Gaddafi would fear might cause some trouble to his regime. And I would conclude with that remark. Thank you.